It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 21st General KS Thimayya Memorial Lecture. May I request you to please stand for the school song of Bishop Cotton Boys School and remain standing thereafter as we remember those friends who have passed on during the year. Thank you. Please be seated. The General KS Thimayya Trust and this lecture series is dedicated to the memory of General Thimayya, one of India's most respected military leaders and a proud Cottonian. This morning, I do not propose to recount his life in the usual biographical sense. I see many familiar faces in the audience, friends of the Trust who have been with us through most, if not all, of our lectures, and they have heard General Thimayya's remarkable story told often and told well. Instead, I would like to reflect on the qualities that defined the general, the values that shaped his leadership, and the standards he set for those who followed. His career was marked by extraordinary milestones, the commands he held, the campaigns he led, and the honors he received. But it is not in the scale of his service that brings us together this morning. It is the manner in which he carried responsibility in every role that he occupied. General Thimayya belonged to a generation of leaders for whom command was inseparable from character. He believed deeply that authority had to be earned, not asserted. That leadership meant standing firm in moments of uncertainty, and that responsibility did not end with issuing orders, but began there. Whether representing India on the international stage or leading from the front in the most demanding theatres of conflict, he inspired trust through moral clarity and quiet confidence. Long after he had become a figure of national stature, he returned to Bishop Cotton Boys School to visit one of his old teachers, quietly and without ceremony. To that teacher, he was no general, he was simply Timmy. Timmy reminds us that for all he achieved in life, the school remained just that, his school, a place where rank dissolved and character endured. That balance between greatness and groundedness is perhaps his most enduring lesson. Courage in the face of adversity, leadership rooted in service, service without spectacle, and humility alongside achievement. These were the qualities that defined General Thimayya, and these are the qualities we look for year after year in those we invite to this stage. This year's speaker and medalist embodied these qualities with a clarity that makes the connection incredibly compelling. We begin by extending our gratitude to Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan, AVSM, VSM, FOCNC, Western Naval Command, an old Cottonian, a former speaker at this lecture, and a dear friend of the Trust. When we were exploring venue options for this edition, he picked up the phone and helped open doors for us in less than a day. His commitment to the Trust is something that we deeply value. We are very happy to have with us one of our patrons, Air Marshal. Want me to hold it? We are very happy to have with us one of our patrons, Air Marshal Trevor Osman, PVSM, AVSM, and his pillar of strength, Mrs. Havovi Osman. The Air Marshal has served the Trust with great dignity and commitment, and his guidance has supported this lecture series in meaningful ways. With characteristic thoughtfulness, the Air Marshal recently expressed a desire that the Trust consider a change in stewardship at this stage. While this was not a request that we were eager to accept, we respected his judgment and his generosity of spirit, and we place on record our deep gratitude for all that he has done for the Trust and the lecture series. It is in that context that we are privileged to welcome Air Vice Marshal Divakar Paul Upot, VSM, as our new Air Force patron. Sir, we are delighted to have you with us, and we look forward to your guidance as we carry this lecture series forward. In a remarkable twist of fate, Air Vice Marshal Paul Upot was the staff officer to Air Marshal Trevor Osman, and I think that's just an amazing, well, I don't know if I can call it a coincidence, but that's just outstanding. Our gratitude to you, sir, and Mrs. Upot for taking the trouble to be with us today, all the way from Hyderabad. We are fortunate today to have with us two educators par excellence. First, from Bishop Cotton's, Mr. Alistair R.A. Freese, Principal. And second, from our dear friends down the road, Father Novin Pereira, Principal, St. Joseph's Boys High School. Over the years, it has almost become a tradition for the Principal of St. Joseph's to join us at these lectures. At our previous editions, we were privileged to have Father Sunil Fernandez, former Principal of St. Joseph's, with us. Today marks Father Pereira's first attendance, and we hope, Father, that you find this morning to be engaging and enjoyable. He is, of course, accompanied by our friends from St. Joseph's Boys High School, whom we also warmly welcome. Many of us grew up believing our schools were sworn rivals on the sports field, in debate halls, and as schools that admitted only boys, I dare say quite enthusiastically over the attention of schools that did not admit only boys. But with time, that rivalry has matured into camaraderie, shared heritage, and mutual respect. We are grateful for your presence. The warmest of welcomes to our speaker, Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, and our medalist, Dr. Anand Vinekar. I can't wait to hear from them. I now turn to acknowledge and welcome those that are closest to this platform and to this trust. They are not guests in the room. They have shaped this lecture from within and have supported us quietly and consistently over the years. Mr. C.N. Kumar, Executive Patron, General Thimayya's grandson, Mr. K.G. Belyappa, and his wife, Nicole Belyappa. Welcome, and please accept our thanks for allowing us to honor the General's name over the years. Our former speaker, Mr. Dr. Aditya Sondi, is here, who was incidentally just last week recently recognized as one of India's foremost lawyers by the Bar Association of India. Dr. Sondi, of course, was the founding trustee of the trust and served as its managing trustee for many, many years. I see one of our medal honorees here, Mr. Manohar Chatlani. So pleased to have you here with us, sir. Then our former trustees, Kiran Lakhani, Prashant Kashyap, Rajiv Purnaya, Jairaj Daniel, Lokesh Ahuja, Timothy Franklin, who stepped down earlier this year. My dear fellow Cottonians, past and present, friends of the Trust who are not Cottonians and still support us through thick and thin. I thank you all for giving us this opportunity to showcase our alma mater, Bishop Cotton Boys School. On behalf of our patrons, Admiral V.S. Shekhawat, Lieutenant General S.K. Jetli, Air Vice Marshal Paul Upot, former patron Air Marshal Trevor Osman, Executive Patron C.N. Kumar, and my fellow trustees Romil, Suraj, and Tushar, I welcome each and every one of you and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. May I please invite on stage the Principal of Bishop Cotton Boys School, Mr. Alistair Freese, to say a few words.
I'm not sure what I'm going to say because I was told that I was supposed to do the welcome, but I think Karan has already done that. Nevertheless, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see you all here this morning, and it's an honor for me to be a part of this wonderful initiative that has gone on for many, many years. As we gather this morning to pay tribute to one of India's most distinguished military leaders, General KS Thimayya, a man whose courage, clarity of purpose, and unwavering commitment to duty continue to inspire generations. This annual lecture, organized by the General KS Thimayya Memorial Trust, stands as a powerful reminder of the values that defend General Thimayya's life. Leadership rooted in integrity, service above self, and an unshakable dedication to the nation. Each year, this platform invites us to reflect on these ideals and to draw inspiration from individuals who embody similar strengths of character and resilience. We're deeply privileged that today's lecture, titled A Life Beyond Vision, From Darkness to Direction, will be delivered by Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, an extraordinary individual and recipient of the National Award for the Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. Dr. Manwani's life and work exemplify courage, perseverance, and the triumph of purpose over limitation. We are honored to have him with us this morning, and we look forward to hearing his remarkable insights. This occasion is also marked by the presentation of the General KS Thimayya Medal, which recognizes exceptional service and leadership. This year, the medal will be conferred upon Dr. Anand Vinekar, founder of the program director of KIDROP and head of pediatric retina at Narayana Netralaya. Dr. Vinekar's groundworking work in pediatric retina care has transformed countless lives across the country, and his dedication strongly reflects the spirit of service that General Thimayya championed. I extend a very warm welcome to you all this morning, and I hope we have an enjoyable session. I'm glad that the trustees have managed to get this venue for today's program. It was unfortunate that we were not able to host it in school this year, and we do hope that it comes back to Cottons in the future. Have a great day. God bless you all.
So, Mr. Freese, can I request you to stay off the pulpit? Thank you, Mr. Freese, for your warm words. We have a special presentation this morning, one that honors a remarkable Cottonian legacy. Many of you will know the name William Leaf Robinson, an old Cottonian whose name became the stuff of legend during the First World War. He was the first pilot to shoot down a German airship over Britain, earning the Victoria Cross, the highest award for gallantry in the face that the enemy can be awarded to British and Commonwealth forces. As the first person to be awarded the VC for action in the UK, his story remains an enduring part of Cottonian history. As a tribute to that legacy, the Trust is honoured to present a framed portrait of Captain William Leaf Robinson, VC, to Mr. Freese for display at Bishop Cotton Boys' School. Sir, may I request you to kindly accept this presentation from Air Vice Marshal Divakar Paul Upot. I see one of our dear teachers, Dr. Iqbal Ahmed. Sir, welcome. The Trust continues to support former members of the school's teaching, administrative, and support staff through our benevolent fund. Each honoree will receive a citation and a check of rupees 1.5 lakh. We increased this amount last year from rupees 1 lakh, and this is our way of giving back. As Cottonians, we spend only a couple of years at school, but these teachers, these staff members spend a whole lot more. The recipients this year are present in the auditorium, and we would like to call them all on stage to receive this honor. May I request our executive patron, C.N. Kumar, to hand over the citations and checks to them. The first recipient is Mr. A. Chinnappan. Where is it? Late Miss Adiyama, who is represented by Mr. Ankaya, her husband. Saralebar. Mr. D. Obaya. And a familiar face to many of our recently graduated Cottonians, Mr. John Paul from the canteen. Miss Mary Gall, who I remember from my time in the kindergarten, just several years ago. Mr. T.V. Shivakumar, who I also remember because we had to go to him for anything accounts related. Mr. U. Madhavan. And Miss Victoria Christina, Kannada teacher. Ma'am, I was, unfortunately, my second language was Hindi.
And when I was there, they introduced it as third language.
See. Now comes success.
Yes, yes.
Well, it's an honor to have these donees with us. What is our favorite statistics is the fact that in 11 years since we initiated the fund, we've handed out 93.5 lakh rupees. And if we were to add the years of service of our donees, it would amount to roughly 2,250 years of collective service to the school. It is my honor to introduce the General KS Thimayya Medal and the medalist to this August gathering this morning. The General KS Thimayya Medal is awarded to Cottonians who have displayed exemplary public service. The medal honors the memory and symbolizes the values of the general. It epitomizes leadership. It epitomizes the duty to not just the nation but also to the public. And it is rightfully awarded to individuals who have had the audacity to explore the uncharted and excel. Just as the general was known for going beyond the call of duty in the battlefield and in leadership. The medal is bestowed on Cottonians who have answered the call of duty, who have answered the call of innovation, and who have answered the call of professional excellence. As a token of our great admiration for Timmy's long-standing contribution to leadership and society, we are privileged to present this year's General KS Thimayya Medal to a distinguished public servant, Dr. Anand Vinekar. When we trustees were getting together to decide who we would give the medal to, it took me back in time. And I will take you back on that journey. It was 1992/93, and I had just moved into Bishop Cotton's. My father, an old Cottonian, was an Air Force pilot, so we moved along with him, and I was coming in from a Kendriya Vidyalaya school. And we were coming in from Saharanpur, you can imagine, North India. My Hindi was better than my English. And to add to it, my old man wanted me to debate. And he said, you must be part of the debate team. And he was from Pack House, and I was in Pack House, and he said, you have to be part of the debate team. And so this young boy in his 8th standard had to realize that firstly, debate is not called debate in Bishop Cotton's, it's called the oratorical, that the name itself is so intimidating. And then to add to it, Anand Vinekar had set up this whole selection process, where you had to be selected to represent the house in the main competition. I still recall that day as light. We were in front of the old library, and I was nervous as hell. 8th standard boy, not too sure whether I belonged to the school, had never been on stage for a debate competition ever. The only time I had been on stage was for a Sanskrit recitation. And I was in this group of young boys, thoroughbred Cottonians, who were competing for that one spot to compete for Pack House. We spoke our lines. I was so sure I was not going to get selected. I was not going to debate. I was never going to go up on stage. And he chose me. I don't know why. And I remember him telling me, you win yours, I'll win mine, and we'll win the trophy. And I had no idea why he put that faith in me. I went on to win that debate. I won the next debate. I won the next debate. I won all the debates of the National Defence Academy and the Indian Military Academy. I went on to win the Bakshi Cup on these debate competitions. And every time I would win, I would go back to that library. I would go back to Anand Vinekar and say, thank you so much, because the path you set me on gave me acceptance in the school and also put me on a path where I could confidently get up on stage and speak. That has been your impact in my life, sir. And I can't imagine the joy of actually saying thank you to you in a room full of Cottonians. Thank you so much. But that's not why we're giving you the medal. Actually, when I had to introduce him, he sent me his introduction, and it runs into sheets and sheets of paper. And so I'm going to put my head down and read it out a bit and just go over it so that I don't miss out the facts. And the very first fact that strikes you in the face is 7 years in Joseph's. Is there security? That's the one. So it took us 2 years to undo all that. 2 years to undo that, and let's face it, he's been a winner in school. Deputy head of day scholars, the captain of the debate team, the captain of the dramatics team, won best actor in inter-school dramatics competitions conducted by the Times Group, a clear winner in school. But today, Dr. Anand Vinekar heads the Department of the Pediatric Retina at Narayana Nethralaya Eye Institute at Bangalore, and is the founding program director of KID-ROP. I'm assuming you call it KidROP, sir. Founded in 2007. Just a brief on KidROP, because I'm sure he will touch upon it during his talk, but the numbers are outstanding, and I'll just go over them. He's completed screening sessions of 350,000 infants in 190 neonatal centers, and is responsible for treating over 6,000 babies, preventing blindness in them within the first 3 months of birth. Using a WHO formula, that is a calculation of savings of prevention of cost of 4,500 crores. I think that's a phenomenal achievement. But he's always been a medalist, apparently. 17 gold medals in St. John's Medical College when he graduated. He did his MS Ophthalmology in PGI Chandigarh, where he won the Kataria Gold Medal received from the Prime Minister of India. More recently, he completed his postgraduate diploma in medical law and ethics at the National Law School of India. where you can guess what he did. He won the gold medal and was awarded by the Chief Justice of India. Mr. Dr. Anand Vinekar has the Pope John Paul Citation and Medal. He has over 120 publications and is ranked in the top 2% of world scientists published by Stanford in 2022. A winner in school, a winner in college, a winner in his profession, but most importantly, a winner for the 1,000 infants he brings light to. I proudly present the General KS Thimayya Medalist for 2025, Dr. Anand Vinekar. To present the medal, I call upon stage Belly, as we know him fondly. Belly is the grandson of General Thimayya, and he has his own flourishing career. He's the co-founder and director of operations of the legacy security company Max Grid Securitor, co-founder and permanent invitee and advisor for the Center for National Security Studies, chairman Karnataka State Federation and Association of Small Industries of India, and co-founder, director and COO of Alanthus AI Private Limited. I'll just hand.
Good morning, everybody. Tushar has made my life extremely difficult by projecting a possibly good debater in front of you. But firstly, I must place on deep record the absolute honor and the gratitude that me and my family have felt for having been bestowed with this medal. A few months ago, when one of the trustees reached out and said that I was being considered for the medal, I asked, why me? Because if any of y'all, and I'm sure most of y'all have, looked at the website of the past winners, they are people who have not just gone beyond their call of duty, but probably even risked their lives to protect the borders of our nation. Defense giants, IAS officers, IPS officers, and I counted very limited number of civilians who have even received this award. And to become the first medical doctor to receive this medal meant a very, very big honor and something that I wasn't sure I deserved. But then they convinced me that it was being awarded for the body of work so that it shines as an example for younger generations to take on the road less sort of traveled. So thank you so much, the KST Trust, for having recognized this work and giving a voice to this, because I believe that this might set the tenor for further work that has to be done, and there's a lot to be done in our country. I understand that this year we are not having it in school, but memories definitely fly back. Early 1991, 7 years in Joseph's, as Tushar reminded you. 13 feisty Josephites entered the hallowed portals of Bishop Cotton's, seeking admission for the ISC Science. And what an inclusive welcome we got. I think we were never made to feel different, although the rivalry is legendary and it still goes on. But as you rightly mentioned, we've developed very deep mutual respect for each schools, and being in a unique position of a Josephite and Cottonian probably allows me that bragging right. As you mentioned, I was completely taken warmly into the system of Cottons, and I'm as much a proud Cottonian. Elected as a vice captain of the house with hardly 1 year of being there in school meant that possibly there was this connection. Oratorical, I still call it debating team, was something that Miss Uma Mahadevan bestowed on us. She was our dramatics and debating teacher. I think at that time she was taking a sabbatical. She was otherwise preparing for the UPSC, which she went on to top as the highest female, and now is the additional chief secretary of our state. So that was the kind of leadership that we dealt with, and we sort of had to mirror. And on a lighter note, General Thimayya himself has been a Josephite first and then a Cottonian. He's been in St. Joseph's College in Kannur and then has come to Bishop Cotton. So I think a hybrid model always works. Since I'm going to talk a little bit about the work, because I think that's what is being recognized here in this medal. So it was back in 2007, I'd completed all my studies, most of it post-graduation in Chandigarh, and then in the US, and then back. There's this peculiar problem that affects preterm babies. In 2007, when I joined the institute, we saw about 18 blind babies, all about 2 months of age, coming from rural areas, from the rural NICUs. And this was not a disease that was unknown to India, but India had the highest burden. India has the highest number of premature births anywhere in the world. Even now we have 3 million of them. That's 30 lakh babies are born preterm every year, almost double that of the second country in that list. And with the fact that they have to survive to be alive, being premature and sick, there is this condition that affects their eyes called retinopathy of prematurity, or ROP, which they're not born with, but which they develop after a few weeks, just a few weeks. And if it's not diagnosed and treated on time, they will go permanently and irreversibly blind in both eyes. And that's probably the situation we were dealing with, seeing 18 of these babies in just a span of 3 months. We realized then the problem was that there were very few specialists to take care of them. At back then, they were less than 40, and almost all of them practiced in the cities. But there were these rural babies who needed to be screened on time. The window was small, but the opportunity was very big. If you can screen this baby within a month and 2 of it being born, and you do the treatment, then you can prevent the blindness. The success rate is more than 97%. The problem was, of course, the fact that there were very few specialists. And that's when we thought of KidRock, where we used technology. We used a special camera at that time. We bought it from the United States, very expensive, and moved it into the NICUs. What we did differently was we trained non-doctors to take these pictures. And for the first time, we said these non-doctors are going to make the initial diagnosis. This is now called task shifting, but at that time it was very new, uncharted, and no precedence. Started off with 3 hospitals. We saw it worked. And then we said the only way to make this scalable is to work with the government. And you know, as much as that sounds nice, how hard it is, especially when you're talking about a new program and a new methodology. This public-private partnership in 2008, a year after we started, became India's first public-private partnership in infant blindness prevention. Till today, from the time we've started, this program performs free screening and free treatment for any baby born in any government hospital in Karnataka. And that 64% of our work is completely free of cost. 36% is a cross-subsidy model, and it has been studied by IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore on why we break even, but we are possibly scalable. Today, when we've screened almost 400,000 babies and treated around 6,000, the numbers seem small compared to, let's say, cataract or diabetic retinopathy. But just think of the impact that you can make. A child who will go blind at the age of 2 months is now going to have normal vision for the rest of his or her life, as against maybe someone who is in his 70s or 80s getting an eye surgery done. Not to take away from that, that's important as well. But the impact you can make, not just to the child, but to the family, but to the entire society. So another amazing round of coincidence was when we started working with scaling up this entire movement. We found that the one barrier was the cost of the camera. It was $100,000 then, and even more now. And that's when we started working with Indian industry. we have under the Make in India scheme one, and just as of last month, two cameras that we have developed with working with Indian industry, which are now the pride of the country. The first one has been in the market for over 10 years. They have the CE and FDA approval. And today, the United States and Canada and other countries buy the Indian camera over their own, not just because it's more affordable, but actually because it's better. Better resolution, better field, more portable, and so on. And this is something that we're very proud of. And the second camera, which we just launched last month, is going to be the first camera to ever have an integrated artificial intelligence and completely developed in India with no technology transfer, all the way from scratch with unique patents. And that's something that we are so happy and so proud of, because today the interaction between the medical and the engineering field, the legal field, and even the administrative field has improved. And today we are able to bring our dreams into reality. And while we were so focused on doing this in Karnataka, and fortunately successfully so, enter another former KST medalist, 2015, Mr. Manohar Chaklani, from his Have a Heart Foundation. He's here in the audience. And from funding cardiac surgeries, he said, I'm totally in love with this concept of ROP. My goodness, if I can it's so cost effective. There's a very small intervention that has to be made. Correct treatment has to be given. So so he's completely turned around our program, and we have now expanded to 10 states and 5 countries outside India through the Have a Heart Foundation. And I want to place on record, I think this is a wonderful medium to do it, where the former medalist and ex-Cottonian has helped this program expand beyond our borders. I think the only other pivot that I wanted to talk about is my long distance endurance running. I was a zero athlete. You heard all the other literary things coming, but I was such a poor athlete in school. I didn't qualify for anything. I was an average swimmer. But I think running found me about 10 years ago. It just happened by chance in one of our medical conferences. I had to run to increase awareness for diabetic retinopathy, and I almost died at the finish line. It was 4 kilometers. Someone fakely promised that all I had to do was hold a banner and talk about diabetic retinopathy. He lied. It was an actual race. But after I completed, I crossed that finish line, I said, this is something that I might enjoy. And from hopelessly running without any training to now having mentors and running with groups, I've gone from 5 kilometers to 42. And just last month completed my first ultra marathon, which is the 50 kilometers. But more than the distance, I think it is some of the values that come, and that's why I wish I'd embraced sport much earlier. The values that come from just being determined, dedicated, persistent. Come what the weather is, you have to get up and train. And I think these are the values that the general embodied, and so many ex-Cottonians and winners have, because what values you bring from sport and something that requires that amount of dedication, you will take that work ethic wherever you are. And I think that's what running has brought. I have now caught the bug of finishing the world major marathons. There are 7 of them. I have completed 5. But what gives me the best satisfaction is that each of these full marathons, which is 42 kilometers, I run for a charity. And all these charities are somehow linked to either pediatric eye care or children who are born blind or even female literacy. And it gives me a great satisfaction that every kilometer I run somewhere, somebody is benefiting from that through the organizations that I hope to support. They say a marathon is not 42 kilometers run once. It's actually 1 kilometer run 42 times. And I think that's a great lesson, because whenever we are, whatever we do, we will have challenges. We had it in Kidrop. We had to almost shut it down 4 times, but we fought back very hard. And with a lot of help from many ex-Cottonians here, especially from the legal field, and I'm just leaving that without you, just so that you can guess who they were. And we've moved on from pillar to strength. And I think the fact that if whatever problem you face, if you break it down and you just deal with one problem at a time and not think of that 42nd kilometers that you have to cover, you will overcome it. And I just want to end with another beautiful African proverb, again related to running, which says, if you want to run fast, then you run alone. But if you want to run far, then you run together. And there is no way that any effort, whether it is for public service, can be done without it being done together. So I want to place on record my gratitude to my family, my parents, my teammates, all the organizations and the companies, the institutions, both in India and abroad, who have supported our innovations, and Government of India, all other, we've worked with so many organizations across the world. And I thank you for bestowing this medal, because I think it gives voice to this work, not just that it has been done, but the whole journey that remains. And I just want to end with the fact that if you pick your path, the road less traveled, because no one wanted to do ROP then, and just stay on it, just like our motto, on straight on. Look neither to the right nor to the left, but if you go on, there you will meet with success. And more importantly, that success will improve the life of the community that we serve. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vinekar. We used to be at, I used to represent the Grand Old School, and you would be in Joseph's, and we would debate against each other. But thank you so much for accepting this award. And on to the next, an important piece of the lecture, which is the lecture itself. It's an absolute honor to introduce our speaker for this year, Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, who was a year my senior in school. More about school times later, but I'll read out, as Tushar said, there was when I requested Rajdeep for his introduction, pages and pages of his achievements. I've just distilled a few, Rajdeep, Dr. Rajdeep. I hope it's okay. Dr. Rajdeep is an academician, trainer, motivational speaker, life coach, counselor, social change agent, and quizmaster par excellence. He is currently a professor and the head of academic research in the Department of Commerce at Sindhi College, and was professor and coordinator of the Department of Commerce in Jain University for 2 decades prior to that. He is a triple postgraduate, having completed his MCom, MBA, and MPhil, and a PhD with doctorate in commerce. He secured the gold medal for topping both the MCom and MPhil examinations in Mysore University. He has published several research articles and made several paper presentations on education and management in national and international seminars. His service to society runs shoulder to shoulder with his role as an academician. He has received the Rotary Award for Vocational Service in Education, from the Extraordinary Pathfinder Award by Rotary International to the latest in a series of awards, that is the LTI Mindtree Helen Keller Award, as role model in 2023. He's been awarded consistently for his human service in the field of education. He is a recipient, and that's the photograph. He is the recipient of the National Award as Role Model for Empowerment of Persons with Disability from the Honorable President of India in December 2013. He is also the recipient of a special award given by the Chief Minister of Karnataka in 2011 and the State Award for Excellence given by the Government of Karnataka in 2015. He is keenly involved as a facilitator of several disability organizations at Bangalore and has helped in training, mentoring, and placing several students with disability in organizations and careers of their choice. He has paved the way for accessibility in several corporate campuses and has also worked extensively with social organizations like Snehadeep, CAPS Foundation, Enable India, and Mitra Jyoti. He is, as you will all see, an eloquent speaker with several awards across borders, including the Distinguished Toastmaster, the highest award in Toastmasters International, and a 4-time TEDx speaker. He has trained and mentored and motivated over 21,500 students and executives over a span of 20 plus years. Now the story about school that I had alluded to in the beginning of my introduction. Rajdeep was my senior by a year. And when he was in the 10th, he had to write his ICSE exams. He had already lost his vision by then. 3 boys, including me, from the 9th were chosen to aid him in giving his exams. I remember when I wrote his exam for him, it changed me as a person. It changed me in ways that one can't imagine. He recently posted an incident about school on LinkedIn, and I'm going to read a part of it verbatim. So begin quote, and in Rajdeep's voice, so to speak. The story of mentorship in my life began much earlier, back in class 8. That was the time when I was slowly losing my eyesight. I had withdrawn from everything. No activities, no laughter, no spark. One afternoon, as I sat alone in my classroom, my biology teacher, Mr. Alexander Nainan sir, walked up to me quietly, sat beside me and said, "Can I read you a poem?" And he started with the poem. I learn as the years roll by and leave the past behind. That much I had counted as sorrows proved that God was kind. That many a rose I longed for had a thorn of pain. That many a rugged bypath led to fields of ripened grain. The clouds that cover the sunshine can never banish the sun. Earth shines brighter when the weary rain is done. We must stand in the darkest shadows to see the brightest light. For it's from life's worst obstacles that comes the greatest strength to flight. He read aloud lines that pierced through the fog I was living in, lines that whispered hope, and I couldn't find any myself. That day, something shifted inside me. End quote. Ladies and gentlemen, his reality is not just a euphemism or neologism for being blind or visually impaired. He is truly differently abled. I now request Dr. Rajdeep Manwani to please be accompanied onto the stage.
Thank you so much, Romil. I generally ask for the podium because I remember I'd gone at one place and they'd made me stand somewhere, and after the speech somebody told me your back was very nice. So I generally don't take that risk. But thank you so much, Romil, for that wonderful introduction. Even though you send your introductions in advance, usually you don't get such beautiful introductions. It reminds me of an incident which happened several years back. There was this master of ceremonies who came on stage and with a lot of enthusiasm said, "Please welcome on stage Mr. Michael Collins, a very successful businessman who made $1 million in the stock exchange in Pennsylvania in 1991. Michael Collins came on stage and he was very, very happy, but he also was a little embarrassed. He said, "Thank you for that wonderful introduction, but I would like to make a few corrections. It was not 1991, it was 2001. It was not Pennsylvania, it was California. It was not the stock exchange, it was the races. It was not $1 million, it was $10,000. It was not me, Michael Collins, it was my brother David Collins. And he did not make the money, he lost it." So considering that, Romil did a wonderful introduction. So please give him a big round of applause. I'm reminded of a scene in a movie which I had seen before I lost my eyesight. It was a movie called The Tramp by Charlie Chaplin. And it was a very interesting scene which stayed in the visages of my mind when I was slowly losing it in my age standard. Charlie Chaplin hasn't got to eat for a day, and he's gone on to beg. And he goes, it's around 5:30 in the morning, and he goes and he takes his bowl and his carpet and he goes and he sits down at a place at around 5:36 in the morning, and he keeps his bowl and his carpet and he starts looking for people to give him money. And soon a milkman comes and he salutes him. He's wondering, why is this milkman saluting me? And anyway, a few more passers by as they go, the morning is moving ahead and they are all saluting him. And he is a little shocked. Then suddenly that ego goes, might be they have done something overnight, that fasting has made me a little supernormal, that these people are saluting me continuously. But this goes on. And then there's a colonel like Tushar who also comes and salutes him. And then he feels, my God, what is this? And 9:30 he realizes that every passerby is saluting him. So he takes the courage and asks one person, why are you all saluting me? And that man looks him from top to down and said, who's saluting you? See where you're sitting. And when he looks behind, he finds the statue of Abraham Lincoln. And I think so. I'm just like that tramp, that beggar in the field of education and in the field of public speaking. It's all people behind me. All the old cartoonians, all those people who have given this lecture behind me, whom you're saluting and whom you're calling upon. It's not me at all. Absolutely not. And one of those people was Romil, who wrote my exams, and I'm deeply, deeply grateful for him. I wouldn't have cleared my ICSE, I wouldn't have gone to done my PhD. So thank you so much. So thank you very, very much for that. And taking off from where, yeah, if you're clapping, clap properly. Okay, that's one thing we've learned in cartoonians, right? Yeah. I'll wait. No problem. And there's just taking off from where Romil left, and we were talking about Sir Alexander Nine and my biology teacher, and I was so deeply inspired by him. And there was one more incident which happened, when I was in my 10th standard. In ICC, we take a 6 subject, so I had taken up economics, and I was deeply influenced by it, and I loved the subject. So as a part of my choice to take up my PUC, and I was deciding what to take, because in those days, a person who had lost his eyesight, the only option available was arts. Because they said, oh my God, if you had to do commerce, you had to do statistics, mathematics, accountancy. And if you did science, you had to see the chemicals, etc. But now things have improved. We have a lot of technology ahead, and we have a lot of screen reading software, etc. But in those days, it wasn't possible at all. And at that time, I remember going to an NGO called Abilities, which was run by a person called Mr. Babu Rangraj, who himself is blind, and he was an English professor in the government department, and he left that. And I asked him, sir, I love economics and I want to take up commerce, but no blind individual has taken this before, so what do I do? Now, Babu Rangraj used to speak in very cryptic tones, and he looked at me and he said, Rajdeep, you know what? Somebody is waiting for you to cross the hurdle so that their race can begin. And I was a little shocked. What is he saying? Because at that time I didn't know. But when I went home and I started thinking about it, it was such a profound statement which he made. Somebody is waiting for you to cross the hurdle so that their race can begin. And I thought, might be if I cross this hurdle and I take up this commerce as a subject, it may prove the opening doors for so many other blind children after me who will take up commerce and management. And I took the bold step, I applied, and continuing with this hybrid thing, I did my PUC and degree in St. Joseph's. So I went to the principal at that time, Father Walter Andrade, and I told him, Father, I want us. And I had got the Pope's medal. I topped in Bishop Cotton, so he was absolutely delighted. But he said, how will you manage? I said, I'll manage, Father. You just give me a seat. And I got in St. Joseph's for my commerce, and I was so glad I took up MCom. And now, thousands of children who are blind take up commerce and management as their first preference in schools and colleges. It just needed that one person to cross the hurdle. But let me take off from there. So when I was in college, it wasn't a very easy job. We had to do the accounts and commerce and during my second BCom, that is in my second year of degree, we didn't have the semester system at that time. I lost my father, unfortunately. He suffered a massive heart attack in a train while coming back from Raipur, and everything was dark because he was working in a private firm in a place in Silver Jubilee Park Road, and it was very, very difficult because I had to fend for my family. My sister luckily had got married at that particular point of time, so me and my mother were staying alone at home, and I had to fend for my family. And it was always my dream that I had to do something and contribute to the world in some way or the other, because I've always believed that every person, if he impacts only 4 or 5 other people, he's living just an animalistic life. Even a goat can feed 4 people. Even a pig can feed 4 people, right? But as a human being, if we don't impact more than at least 500 or 1,000 people, we are living a sub-animalistic existence. So what I thought was, I'll do my MCom and I'll become a lecturer so I can impact lives of hundreds of people at a later point of time. And I remember when I completed my BCom, I was so frustrated because I didn't have the funds to do it. So what do? I was in a difficult situation. But at that particular point of time, I got a job as a telephone operator in an organization called Sivananda Electronics. It was here in MG Road itself. It's in Manipal Center. And in those days, as I told you, the limitations were there for jobs with people with blindness. You only became a telephone operator. We had those PABX and EPABX. And the other job was a music teacher. And I didn't know music at all. So I took up a job as a telephone operator in Shivananda Electronics. And in those days, I used to take, we didn't have the MP3s. We have those cassettes, all above 35 will identify. Remember those rectangular things with those 2 holes? And I used to take a Walkman. And there was this organization in Jeevan Bhima Nagar at that time. Now it's in HSR layout, the organization where I'm now very closely associated with, called Mitra Jyoti, where I used to give my entire lessons and I used to get it recorded. It used to be manually recorded. We didn't have screen readers. We didn't have artificial intelligence. We didn't have artificial voices at that particular point of time. And they used to be volunteers who used to record the entire speeches and the entire lectures and whatever was there, or whatever the study material. So I did my MCom through correspondence from Mysore University, because by the time I'd applied for Bangalore University, the admissions had closed down. So I took up that position and I did it. And so in between attending calls at Shivananda Electronics, I used to listen to my lectures of MCom, whether it was banking, whether it was insurance. And again, the whole problem was that the scribes which were allotted to you, Romil Tarakan was my scribe in my 10th, but the scribes which were allotted to you in your MCom, the rules were that they have to be of a different stream and they should be less educated to you. So the person who's writing my MCom exam should be either a BA or a BSc. So can you imagine if I'm doing an accounts problem like ledger, those would follow that. I have to tell them left, right, I have to tell them debit, credit. And I used to sit for hours and I used to frustrate over the whole thing. But anyway, leave that. I cleared my MCom, and then the most beautiful thing which came to me was I got a letter from the Vice Chancellor of Mysore University which said that, Mr. Rajdeep Manwani, you're the first student in the history of correspondence to get a gold medal in Mysore University, being an distance education student. And I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled. Now I'm going to take a small deviation here, because when I heard Anand Vinekar and I heard him speak about something about the marathon, I'm very happy that he brought out that concept. I'm going to talk about a small concept and then continue my story. All those of you who actually run a marathon and who actually take coaching for a marathon, especially the 42-kilometer one, know that somewhere between the 30th and the 35th kilometer, there is something called the wall. What is this wall? The wall is also called the IFL. In sports psychology, we call it the IFL. IFL stands for the imaginary finishing line, or we call it the wall, where the runner feels so fatigued, where he feels that every bone of his body is paining, every nerve of his body is feeling so exhausted, he's sweating, he's mentally fatigued. And statistics show that around 58% of athletes leave the race at that particular point of time. But there are some people, and if you've gone through a coach, you'll know that he'll tell you, beware of the IFL, beware of the imaginary finishing line, beware of the wall. Some people, what they do is, they press on. They say, forget it. I know I'm feeling extremely tired. I know I'm completely exhausted. I know that every pore of my body is paining. But I'll press on for a few more meters. And they press on for a few more meters, 50 meters, 100 meters. And then suddenly something beautiful happens. There's a surge of energy in your body, and you can complete the remaining 7 to 12 kilometers in record time. As I told you, in sports psychology, we call it the IFL, or the imaginary finishing line. In normal psychology, we call it the point of discrimination. And every individual encounters that in his life, whether it's a writer, and writers, we call it the writer's block. When you're writing something, at some point of time, you feel that you don't have the creativity to write further. And many ordinary writers give up at that particular point of time. But the champions, even if you see one of the greatest poems written, Where the Mind is Without Fear, by Rabindranath Tagore, he had written 6 lines and he said, I didn't get any more ideas. But I knew if I get up at that particular point of time, I'm not going to get any more ideas. And what did he do? He continued sitting, and then there was a wave of creativity and he completed the entire poem. It happens for people who study for their exams. All students who have done well in their exams, when you're studying in the night and at 12:30 you feel extremely tired and you say, forget it, I'm going to leave my portions. It's okay, whatever happens the next day. But some people say, let me drink a cup of coffee, let me wash my face. And when you see that, you can actually stay awake the whole night. It's called the imaginary finishing line. Now let me link my story to the imaginary finishing line. So I finished my MCom and I got the gold medal and I had to go to Mysore, right? But before that, you should know that I had tried several times to get a job. So what happened was, I went to the first college with a letter from the Vice Chancellor and I told him, sir, I've completed my MCom and I've got a gold medal. Will you give me a job as a commerce lecturer? And they said, wow, you got the gold medal, you got 78%, fantastic. But we can't give you the job because you can't see. How are you going to write on the board? How are you going to take attendance? How are you going to teach the students? I tried for the second time. And the second time also I got the same result. No, you can't see, you will not be able to take the class. How will you be able to do it? And at that time I was a little happy because I was reading all these self-help books. And all these self-help books say, that, what is it? Failure is the stepping stone to success. Okay, very good. But when the third college refused me, I said, what nonsense. How many stepping stones do you require to succeed in life? So what I did is, I set a deadline. Because I was already working in Shivananda Electronics as a telephone operator. So I had a job. So I said, I'm going to try for 5 colleges. If 5 colleges refuse, I'm not going to try any further. I tried for the 4th time. I tried for the 5th time. The 5th college also refused. What do you think I did? I extended my deadline. I told, I'll try for 10 colleges. You should make life simple, isn't it? You shouldn't complicate life. So the 6th college also refused. 7th college also refused. Now I'm getting really desperate. Because when you get rejected so several times, failure is a very big demotivator. Let me tell you this. Because when you're failing continuously, you start losing confidence in your own ability. I remember I used to go to these colleges asking for a job and I used to have that dull pain in my heart, as I used to feel very, very nervous. So I tried for the 8th time. The 8th college also refused. Let me tell you the same way because I don't want to put that. Even success after a point of time can become a demotivator. Because if you keep succeeding in life, after a point of time, you reach a place where you're so comfortable with success that you don't want to experiment with anything new. You'll never buy a new phone, you'll never try anything new, you'll never start a new venture, you won't go into a comfort zone. So you need a little bit of failure, but not as much as I had, okay? So I tried for the 9th time. I tried for the 10th. And at that point of time, when the 10th college refused, I was absolutely devastated. I was disgusted, I was devastated, I was disappointed. And I said, okay, last 5 times, correct? Last 5 times, I'm going to try. If I get it this time, and you know, at that point of time, you must know this. When I got refused the 9th time, there was this government lecturer post opening. And in those days, there weren't such strict UGC norms. And somebody told me you can pay some money and get in a job as a government lecturer, because failure can make you also compromise on your values. And I almost did that, but thank God I didn't do it. And the 11th college refused. The 12th college refused. Now I decided another strategy. I said, I won't bribe a government official. Let me try and bribe God. So there was this Tirupati temple here. I said, Tirupati, if you give me a job, I'll put 500 rupees in your hundi. Correct? No, I think so 1,000. In those days, there were 1,000 rupee notes, right? Correct, yeah. So 1,000 rupees. Nothing happened. 13th college also refused. I increased my stake. I said 2,000 rupees. 14th college, I said, you're too greedy. The full salary, correct? We all think of God as an ATM, isn't it? All of us, why do we go? You know, I'll just take a small deviation here, because some days back I was outside a temple, and my son, I don't know what happened, he counted and he said, do you know, Dad, there are 30 beggars outside the temple. And I told him, yeah, there are 30 beggars outside the temple, but there are 200 beggars inside the temple. Because all the time, what do we go? If we go into a church or temple or mosque, what do we do inside? Only beg, right? God changed my boss. God changed my principal. Whatever. Okay. God changed my spouse. Okay. No, I'm not going to tell this. Okay, you're getting dangerous. Okay. Whatever. But let me tell you, I didn't have the maturity at that particular point of time. I never had the maturity at that particular time, because prayer doesn't work that way. Prayer is always gratitude. In every religion, it's always gratitude. Thank you for our daily bread, Shukrana, Om Bhurbhuvasva. All of them talk about only one thing, that is praising the Lord and thanking the Lord. But I didn't have that, because if a mortal mother can understand what a child is going through, you see, a mother, when she sees the child who's young, 2-3 months old, she'll know whether he's got a stomach ache when he cries. She'll know whether he's wanting food. She'll know whether he's feeling sleepy. So if the mortal mother can know everything, I think so the eternal Father can know everything what we want, isn't it? So it doesn't make sense. Anyway, let's come to the point. So the 15th college also refused. Now I was completely devastated. But you know, nature has its own way. On the time I got rejected the 15th time, I got a letter from Mysore University stating that your convocation ceremony is going to be held, so you have to come and collect your gold medal from Mysore. So I went with a very, very heavy heart. At that time, the governor of Karnataka was a person called Khurshid Alam Khan, and he was giving the gold medal. And every other person who was getting the gold medal had a smile on their face. MA gold medalist, MSc gold medalist, but I was the only person, the MCOM gold medalist, who was very, very sad. He was wondering what happened, and I went out. In fact, that's why Romil didn't find that photograph also. I don't know where those photographs are. I got so scared seeing my face in those photographs, correct? I was terribly upset because I didn't have a job. I went and got the gold medal, and as I came down, I met a person on a wheelchair who was also collecting his doctorate degree at that time. That person's name was Dr. M.K. Sridhar. He later on went on to become my guide for my PhD, and then he was a teacher at Vijaya College, and recently he was awarded the Padma Shri, and he started a university called the Chanakya University here in Bangalore. Right? So he met me down and told, young man, you've got the gold medal. Why are you so upset? I said, sir, I have got the gold medal, but I don't have a job. He immediately pulled out his car and he said, keep it with you. Call me up when you are in Bangalore. Maybe I can help you out. I came back to Bangalore. I had a 16th interview which was scheduled. in a college, and I went over there, and there also I was refused. Now I went back home and I called up Dr. M.K. Sridhar and I said him, sir, you told me you will try something for me. He told me, Rajdeep, see, I am working in a government college, government aided college called Vijaya College here. I don't think so I can get you a job, but there's a new college which has come up in Bangalore called Sri Bhagwan Mahavi Jain College. Why don't you try there? Might be there you can get a job. I said, okay, sir. And I kept the phone down. My mother was standing behind me and she asked me what happened. I said, no, I'd met somebody at the convocation and he told me that I should try for a new college over here. She said, are you going to try? I told, no, ma, I'm not going to try. She said, why? I said, ma, I don't want to be insulted again. I've already been insulted 16 times. Everybody tells me the same thing. You can't see, you can't write on the board, you won't be able to take attendance. I don't want to try again and again. I don't want to be insulted again and again. I don't know what came over my mother that day, but she said something which changed my life that day. She said it in Hindi. I'll translate it into English and then I'll say it out in Hindi. She held my hand and she said, Beta, people can take away the spark from your eyes. Never let them take away the spark from your heart. Beta, आंखों से रोशनी बुझने देना पर दिल से रोशनी कभी मत बुझने देना. That's what she told me. And I said, yes, nobody has the right to rob my enthusiasm. Nobody has the right to rob my spark from my heart. Even if it's going to take 50 attempts, I'm going to keep trying. I tried for the 17th time and I got the job in Jain College. Now my question to you was the imaginary finishing line. Had I given up at the 5th attempt, would I be speaking in front of you? No way. Had I given up at the 10th attempt, would I be speaking in front of you? Chanceless. Had I given up at the 15th attempt, would I be speaking in front of you? No way. The reason why I came here is because I crossed my imaginary finishing line. And for me, my imaginary finishing line was 16 colleges. Each of us has our own imaginary finishing line, whether it's a relationship issue, whether it's a career issue, whether it's a issue of health. All of us have to cross that imaginary finishing line. It's not me and you. Even the greatest celebrities have to cross their imaginary finishing line. What was Amitabh Bachchan's career in 2002? Over. His ABCL had filed for bankruptcy. He was 62 years old. People said, go away. And at that time, somebody told him, why don't you try the small screen? And he said, oh, small screen? Everybody said, you're the king of the silver screen. Going to the small screen television was considered below your dignity. But he said, let me try. At the age of 62, with a negative balance of around 75 crores, he hosted a program called Kaun Banega? Karapati. Now 84, positive balance of 3,000 crores. I don't know what's in Panama, but whatever. Correct? But all because a person was willing to cross the imaginary finishing line. What was Tendulkar's career in 2007? Over. He suffered one of the worst ailments known in muscular history, tennis elbow. Even if you have to lift up a cup, it's excruciatingly painful. But everybody said, you've scored 75 centuries, just leave it. You have done enough for the country. But he said no. He used to say, even if I had to pick up Arjun's bat, his son, plastic bat, I used to find it so difficult. But he went for rehabilitation, physiotherapy, came back 2008 till 2014, scored another 25 centuries and became the only sportsperson to get the Bharat Ratna. All because he was willing to cross the imaginary finishing line. So what I'm trying to tell you is the same thing. Can we cross that imaginary finishing line? Can we just cross that imaginary finishing line? And I have not done anything special in my life. Just the small thing. Cross that imaginary finishing line. Have I run out of time, Roman? Or do we have some time? Or?
I have one question.
I mean, we'll do Q&A later, but you've still got time, Raj.
Okay, I've got still time, yeah. I just want to check, yeah. Before I could complete, somebody had questions. This sounds like my... sounds like my class. Yeah, it sounds like my class, yeah.
Wrote on the screen when you...
Oh, okay. How did I write on my screen? Let me tell you this. before I go to the next part of it. Okay, let me tell you the next part. We'll keep a suspense for you, sir, so that you stay on in the lecture for some more time. Okay? No, I'm not going to tell you so fast and all, you know. You have to cross your imaginary finishing line. So when I got my job in Jain College, I thought I'm going to be a great teacher, gold medalist, MCOM, etc. But you know one thing, being academically good and being a good teacher are two different ball games altogether. Because when you're academically good, what do you need? You need memory, you need good organizational skills, you need skills of remembering the way you present your paper. All those skills are required. But to be a good teacher, you need oratory skills, you need humor, you need connections, you need simplification. So you don't have that. So when I started teaching in Jain College, and in those days Jain College was just a new college, so the compulsion of attendance wasn't so great over there. So many times people used to come to class, and I was given a subject for the first PUC and second PUC, that's 11th and 12th, which was called business studies. And I used to teach that subject, and half the students used to go off. Sir, what, sir? Why you are training yourself so much, sir? Leave it, sir. You don't worry, you give us the notes, we'll pass the exam, sir. Correct or not? And I used to feel, and I was very sad, because I had been given the job with a lot of confidence that I'm going to make a difference somewhere in the somewhere. But I wasn't making that difference. 20% of the students used to attend my class and they never used to do. And I decided I have to do something about this. I have to do something to become a better teacher. And I was wondering, what do I do to become a better teacher? What do I do to become a better teacher? So, at that time, we had this shortwave radio. Radio was not the FM type. We had something called medium wave and shortwave. And at that time, I was tuning into a broadcast called the American Broadcasting Corporation. And there was an interview with the author of a book. And this book had become a publishing phenomenon in those days. It was called Chicken Soup for the Soul. Have you all heard of it? Chicken Soup for the Soul had sold around 6 million copies in the first 3 years of its publication. 60 lakh copies. It was written by two authors, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. And I was wondering, none of the books in India are selling so much. Means we had some beautiful, Chicken Soup for the Soul is just a collection of short stories, okay? So, we had some beautiful books in India. We have the Panchantantra, we have the Jataka tales, we have Vikram Vetal stories, but those are not selling, and this book has sold 60 lakh copies in the first 3 years. So how did they do that? So when I got to listen to the ABC interview, I was curious. I wanted to know whether she'll ask him the question. And the broadcaster asked him the question, asked Jack Canfield, who was giving the interview that day, what has made Chicken Soup for the Soul such a huge phenomenon? And Jack Canfield very calmly answered, the rule of three. What did he say? The rule of three. So she asked, what is the rule of three? He said the rule of three is a phenomenon or a proverb in America which says that if you strike a tree 3 times every day and sharpen your axe, after 1 month, even the tallest, strongest tree can fall down. And the broadcaster said, even General Sherman is supposed to be the tallest tree in the world. And he said, even General Sherman. Then she said, but what has that got to do with your success, Mr. Canfield? And he said, I followed the rule of three in promoting my Chicken Soup for the Soul. The first day I did a road show. I went and distributed pamphlets. I went to a school and did a book reading. The next day I met the governor of Texas. I went to the prison and read them out the book. I did an advertising campaign. I did 3 things every day to promote my Chicken Soup for the Soul. And within 30 days, Chicken Soup for the Soul had become a marketing and a publishing phenomenon. I said, wow, leave the rule of 3. I'll do 1 thing every day to become a better teacher. Just 1 thing every day. I remember that day, June 15th, I won't tell you the year, you'll guess my age. So, I went and to the library, and we had a librarian called Miss Pratibha, and I told her, can you read out some anecdotes which I can narrate in class? So there was a book by Pramod Batra called Management Anecdotes. She read that out to me. The next day I went for voice lessons. I remember my voice wasn't like this. Romal and all know. I wasn't as gifted as Anand and Romal. I took part only in Hindi debates. That was in my college days. But my voice wasn't like that. I had a very lilting voice when I was in my BCom, And many students, when they used to listen to my voice, they used to record it. I used to say, students, now take out your books and we'll go on to study. And they used to play that recording in the night, and without any side effects, they used to fall. In fact, in the first 2 months of my college days, they used to call me the unlicensed hypnotherapist, isn't it? So I went to a dramatist called Orko Mukherjee. I told him I want to improve my voice quality. So he said, you have to do pranayam. The best voice comes from the belly. And he used to make me put a pencil in my mouth and scream. He made me do all sorts of things. I did one thing every day. The next day I read a research article. I did one thing every day, whether it rained or snowed, to become a better teacher. Within 6 months, my classes started filling up. I had 50%, 60% attendance in my class. After around a year, I had 80-90% students attending my class. No, this was not a signal for me to keep quiet. No. Okay. After 1.5 years, students started coming to me and started telling me, Rajdeep sir, will you take our class? Now, I didn't do anything special. The only thing which I did was, I did one thing every day, and I did it with unflinching commitment. I did one thing every day and I did it with unflinching commitment. And I think so that is, all of you can hear me at the last row? Yes. The only thing which I did was do small things in my life, and that's what is the transformation from darkness to direction. Doing small things with unflinching commitment. Haven't you noticed this? The alarm rings in the morning. And what do? You put it on snooze. Then you'll again put it on snooze. Good. Okay. You'll put it on snooze, and then again you'll put it on snooze. And then after around 15 snoozes, you'll get up in the morning. I'm just telling you small things which happen in life, right? You yourself put the alarm, and you yourself have made a commitment, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock or 6:30 or 7, and you're going back on your commitment. Some of you all might have made a commitment that I'm not going to eat sweets, I'm not going to eat anything fried because I have to improve my fitness, I have to reduce my weight. And then what do? You get a free lunch at RSI. Okay, today is the cheat day, correct or no? Whatever happens, because see, animals eat when they are hungry, but human beings eat when food is free. So you'll definitely have to take advantage of this, isn't it? So what you'll do, you'll eat all that gulab jamun. I don't know what Romal has kept in his. No. What's the. And what are you doing? Or some of you all might make a commitment. Oh, Anand is running every day in the morning. Let me also start running from tomorrow. And then the next day you get up in the morning and it's drizzling. Oh, no, not today. If I run, I'll dissolve in the rain. Correct? And what are you doing? You're going back on your commitment. If I've moved from darkness to direction, there are only two simple things. One, I've crossed the imaginary finishing line. And the second thing is, if I've made a commitment, I've honored that commitment. If I said I'm going to study every day, I'm going to study every day. If you tell your friend that I'm going to meet you at 7 o'clock in the evening, and you don't go and meet your friend, you're going back on your commitment. It's not for your friend, but you should go for yourself. Because every commitment you honor, you are growing up in your own eyes. Every commitment you dishonor, you're falling in your own eyes. When the alarm rang and you put it on snooze, you didn't insult anybody else, you insulted yourself. When you say I'm not going to eat sweets and you put that sweet in your mouth, you're not insulting anybody else, you're insulting yourself. When you say I'm going to go and exercise and you don't exercise, whom are you insulting? You're insulting yourself. And this keeps mounting again and again and again and again. And slowly you lose your self-worth. So the only two things which I want to tell you today is, and I'm nothing great. I've not done anything great in my life, just done two things. Stuck to the fight, crossed the imaginary finishing line, whatever it may be. And second thing is doing small things every day and sticking it to it with unflinching commitment. Because every commitment you honor is a stroke in the painting of your life. Every commitment you dishonor is a scratch in the painting of your life. And you don't want your life to be filled with scratches, isn't it? I think so. I've spoken long enough. Sir, we've crossed our imaginary finishing line. You can ask questions now. But because I remember I was speaking at a conference, and there was this conference conducted by some financial professionals, and I asked them how long do I have to speak. They said you speak how long you want, we leave in half an hour. Correct? I don't want you all to do that. So with that, let me thank you so much for the opportunity given. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Manwani. That was very moving and very inspirational. Thank you so much. We'll take questions and answers. Please raise your hands. I'll moderate the questions, answers, and direct them to. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, my question to you was the earlier one. When you went to jail college first, I'm Wing Commander Bat 626 Pope House.
Dean, I'm in Pope House, sir. Good.
Oh,
Good.
Did I get the right answer?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
So,
I hope it doesn't get to the ropes. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
so how did you, in the day one when you went after getting this job, it's fantastic that, how did you write on the board?
Okay, so what happened is, I'm a very smart guy because I'm Catonian and Josephite, right? So what I did is, one day before itself, I generally sat with the student, I used to sit with the student, and I used to tell, see, students don't have to see my handwriting on the board. Any good handwriting with accounts is good. So what I do is sit with the student, work out the problem, whether it's accounts, whether it's business studies, I tell these points have to be written on the board, and I make a good student with the best handwriting right, and I explain. Correct? So I have no complaints of writing on the board at all. Because always the best students with the best handwriting always write on the... Isn't it smart? Correct? So I sit with the student, correct? Every day, whether it's financial management, whether it's income tax. See, if I'm blind, it doesn't mean everybody is blind and they don't want things to be written on the board. So I do my preparation. If I have to prepare, that's why I've always learned this. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So I prepare in advance, I sit with the student, good students who volunteer, the best students with the best handwriting, work out the problem in a notebook, tell them what has to be done, and ask them to write on the board, and I explain the problem after it has been written.
Industrial Revolution Division of Labor.
Absolutely true. So, but here, even the student is learning. The one who's volunteering is also learning for the first time, right? So, it's a double benefit.
Next question, please. Please raise your hands and Asha will get the mic across to you. Thank you, Asha.
I'm Professor Arun Swaminathan, Ethical 77. Wonderful talk. I'll be very brief to quote from the creator of the hymn, Amazing Grace. And he loses eyesight and he gets a gift. So what is that beautiful, I can sense the gift, I would love it from your own tongue. What is that one singular gift you got when you lost your eyesight? Thank you.
I think so, I got lots of gifts. Correct. One, I think I have the gift of simplification. You give me any complex problem in any subject, now I teach strategic management law, I'm able to simplify things and bring it down to the level of the student. So I think so I have got that gift. And I also think God has given me that sense of humor to laugh at myself, right? So I've always found it very, very amusing. Means life is, you should take your work seriously, but you should never take yourself seriously. I've always believed that, right? So I've always got that sense of humor, and I always believe that any problem in life can be set aside by, and also God has given me the gift of the gap, so I can speak. So lots of grace, amazing grace, really.
May I request Air Marshal Trevor Rossman to present Rajdeep Manwani with a citation as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you, Rajdeep, for that incredibly moving lecture. And I would like to leave space for that lecture to settle and for your words to settle with us. So I will be as brief as possible with my thanking and closing remarks. On behalf of the Trust, I extend our sincere thanks to Lieutenant General V.T. Matthew, AVSM, YSM, GOC Karnataka and Kerala Sub-Area, Colonel Mario D. Monti, Secretary RSI, and Colonel Administration K&K Sub-Area, Tarun Rana, for their support in enabling today's lecture at this venue. Our very gifted, talented Priyanka Kalyan, our sign language interpreter, who's done a tireless job. My goodness, it's a special word of thanks to our students from the National Association of Blind. Thank you so much for being here. I see one of our former medalists. He walking a little late, but welcome and thanks for being here, Tanveer. Okay, he's somewhere. Sorry, the light's on me. And there you are. Thanks, Tanveer. A special word of thanks to Lokesh Ahuja, Yash Khanna, Nitya, and Sylvia for their work behind the scenes. Sylvia, ma'am, especially for helping us identify teachers whom we can and staff members whom we can recognize. Our deepest thanks to each one of you, Cottonians, Josephites, the hybrids in between, teachers, students, members of the armed forces, families and well-wishers for your continued support. May I request everyone to please stand for the national anthem. We will be led by another old Cottonian, the very, very gifted saxophone player, Mr. Raman Iyer, who also did our opening songs. Over to you.
May we have time to attention, please.
Thank you.